Welcome back to From Kitchen to C-Suite, the essential podcast for restaurant and hospitality executives, the program designed to bridge the operational realities of the kitchen with the strategic imperatives of the boardroom. I am your host, and today we shall undertake a deep examination of a subject that transcends a mere business challenge to become a genuine crisis, one that currently preoccupies every chief executive officer, multi-unit franchisee, and owner-operator. For the preceding 3 years, the prevailing operational strategy within the casual and fast casual dining sectors has been price for protection. This was a necessary, and at times urgent, effort to mitigate the historic surge in macroeconomic pressures. We have observed menu prices escalate aggressively as brands endeavored to counteract staggering year-over-year inflation in food and commodity costs, the rapid acceleration of labor compensation, and debilitating supply chain instability. The prevailing industry consensus was, the immediate capture of margin is requisite for organizational solvency. However, the empirical evidence is now beginning to convey a distinctly different and deeply problematic narrative. The consumer base has demonstrably reached a saturation point. Today, our formal exploration will center on the crisis of menu price fatigue. This is not a superficial argument concerning minor adjustments to the cost of an entree. This represents a fundamental, psychological, and financial alteration in the core value proposition of the casual dining sector, a segment predicated on the guarantee of an affordable, consistent experience. Through patterns of diminished frequency and reduced average check size, the consumer is signaling that the implicit contract of value has been significantly compromised. We shall thoroughly analyze this crisis across 3 primary dimensions: the issue of sticker shock and the squeeze on the middle market. Why is the industry's middle, specifically casual dining and higher-end fast casual, experiencing the most profound strain? This is where the perceived value incongruity is most expansive. Consumers are strategically downgrading to quick-service restaurants, QSR, based on convenience and price, or, conversely, upgrading to fine dining for a true event experience, thus leaving the middle market acutely exposed and vulnerable. We will assess why a $20 per person check that was deemed acceptable 2 years prior now constitutes a significant expenditure. The guest attrition, an analysis of customer migration. This represents the critical business inquiry. The issue is not limited to isolated shifts in patronage to a direct competitor. The regular customer, the essential foundation of the business, is fundamentally restructuring their consumption habits. They are mastering the art of the trade-off. This involves increased home-based meal preparation, greater utilization of grocer meal kits, and a strategic reduction in dining frequency in exchange for cost savings. We will investigate why the solution is not merely a migration to fast food, but a systemic reapportionment of the household food budget. The margin predicament, avoiding the destructive race to the bottom. What actionable strategies exist to halt the detrimental hemorrhaging of customer traffic without engaging in a self-destructive price war? Our focus will be on the delicate equilibrium required to safeguard profitability, while simultaneously re-establishing undeniable perceived value for the customer. We shall examine strategic menu engineering practices, effective bundled pricing models, and non-price-related value drivers designed to prevent the alienation of the very patrons who ensure the organization's viability. Joining us to dissect this existential threat is a distinguished panel of industry veterans who have successfully navigated previous economic downturns, the 2008 recession, the recent pandemic, yet acknowledge the unique complexity of this moment, where the challenge is not diminished demand, but the customer's reservations regarding the current price point. We will meticulously review the financial metrics of check averages versus visit frequency, the consumer psychology of perceived fairness, and, most crucially, develop a pragmatic, profitable trajectory for resolution. In an economic climate where a standard family dinner can be perceived less as an enjoyable social outing and more as a capital investment, how must a brand strategically reclaim its position in the market and restore the fundamental trust and value proposition upon which it was established? The solution requires more than sophisticated pricing algorithms. It necessitates a radical, forthright reevaluation of the entire guest experience framework. Let us proceed with the analysis. This is the crisis of menu price fatigue on From Kitchen to C-Suite. The casual dining industry throughout the United States is currently contending with a significant economic hurdle, which industry analysts have denominated as menu price fatigue. This pervasive consumer weariness is the direct consequence of aggressive, operationally necessitated pricing strategies implemented by restaurant establishments, specifically the substantial, nearly triple-digit markups applied to fundamental, high-margin beverages such as soft drinks and iced tea. This strategy, adopted as a countermeasure against pronounced declines in operational profit margins, is now precipitating a critical consumer resistance. The financial pillar, beverage profitability. The most apparent manifestation of this widespread pricing recalibration is discernible within the beverage category. Against a persistent and substantial backdrop of general food price inflation, evidenced by the Consumer Price Index registering a 0.8% increase in December, The median retail price for a fountain soda or iced tea has expanded to a considerable range, now situated between $2 and $4.25. The economic principles underwriting this strategy are distinct and rigorous. While a premium entree, such as a gourmet burger, may generate a respectable but moderate 55% margin, high-margin beverages function as absolutely indispensable profit engines for the entirety of the operation. Fountain soda. A fountain soda with a total cost to serve, encompassing syrup, cup, ice, and labor allocation, approximating 55 cents, frequently retails at a price point exceeding $3.25. This pricing yields an impressive 85% profit margin. Iced tea. The margin realized on iced tea is even more pronounced and is considered industry-leading. Its total input cost, the tea bag or concentrate, water, and ice, is often less than 10 cents. Nevertheless, this item may be priced as high as $3.95, resulting in an exceptional, near-pure 97% profit margin. These easily dispensed, high-markup refreshments constitute the crucial financial pillars that fundamentally subsidize the complex and substantial costs associated with preparing and serving more labor-intensive and ingredient-heavy entrees. Without this robust beverage revenue stream, the current cost structure of casual dining becomes fundamentally untenable. Operational imperative versus consumer tolerance. From the perspective of restaurant proprietors, these elevated prices represent not a discretionary choice, but an unavoidable operational necessity. They cite unrelenting and substantial increases across the board in labor, raw ingredient costs, and supply chain expenditures. Jeff Hubler, a prominent brewery owner, articulated the severity of the shift, noting that a typical family meal previously costing $48 now routinely surpasses $62 before tax and gratuity. He specifically attributed this escalation to a documented 50% increase in compensation required for certain essential front and back-of-house staff roles to maintain competitiveness within the labor market. For a significant cohort of operators, the current motivation is purely operational viability, the maintenance of ongoing business activity, rather than the pursuit of substantial profit growth or expansion. Nevertheless, as observed by veteran restaurateur Bo Bryant, frequently referred to as the restaurant giant, industry operators are becoming acutely cognizant of the consumer's rapidly accelerating price fatigue. While the aggregate volume of dining traffic may have remained relatively constant, diner behavior is undergoing an undeniable and strategic modification. Customers are deliberately curtailing their expenditure on high-margin supplementary items, specifically appetizers, desserts, and, most critically, the overly expensive beverages, as a direct mechanism for controlling their total final outlay. This strategic consumer restraint is introducing a severe, compounding fiscal challenge for the casual dining industry. The revenue deficit created by the widespread omission of high-margin items, which previously served as the financial buffer for the entire meal, must be compensated through other means to maintain the business's solvency. Should this trend of beverage and appetizer omission persist and deepen, restaurants will be confronted with an inevitable and self-defeating necessity. They will be compelled to further increase the prices of their core entree items. This action will have the dual negative consequence of accelerating the overall cost of dining out and potentially motivating a greater number of regular patrons to abandon restaurant dining entirely in favor of more cost-effective home meal preparation. Menu price fatigue has thus emerged as a potent and decisive economic determinant that is fundamentally reshaping the competitive landscape of American casual dining. The contest for the industry's future profitability and structure is, paradoxically, being waged not over the complex high-cost entrees, but over the seemingly most inexpensive and highest margin offerings on the menu. The central finding derived from our analysis of casual dining's menu price fatigue is unambiguous. The transactional disposition of the casual dining patron has undergone a fundamental transformation. Customers are no longer simply procuring an item from a menu. They are actively pursuing justification for the expenditure. Within an environment characterized by persistent inflationary pressures and heightened consumer scrutiny, the value proposition must be manifest, tangible, and emotionally relevant. The actual source of the present instability, which we designate the crisis of fatigue, is less a direct consequence of menu pricing and more a profound challenge of relevance. Guests are expressing weariness from the perception of overpayment for a largely undifferentiated, standardized experience. The long-term viability of brands in this highly competitive segment will be determined by those that successfully realign their operational and marketing focus. This strategic shift necessitates moving from the view of guests as mere data points for transactional analysis to treating them as genuine partners in the dining experience, whose sustained loyalty is cultivated through authentic engagement and demonstrably superior perceived value. To achieve success in this new commercial landscape, executive leadership must transition to a model of excellence that transcends simple cost-cutting, embracing instead strategic investment in the comprehensive guest experience. Focus must be placed on the following three critical strategies. Cease auditing the extra, elevate service and atmosphere. When a brand establishes a premium price point within the casual dining category, The fundamental expectations for the service, atmosphere, and overall execution must inherently surpass a defensive survival mode posture. Systematically reducing or eliminating the small yet impactful extras, such as staffing levels conducive to proactive service, the utilization of high-quality ingredient choices, or the meticulous maintenance of a sophisticated ambiance, constitutes a false economy. These elements are the essential anchors that substantiate the premium price. The extra functions as the latent value multiplier. This encompasses a server who anticipates a need without prompting, an impeccably maintained and inviting restroom facility, or a subtle enhancement in the presentation of the dish. By systematically removing these differentiators in an effort to protect margins, the brand inadvertently converts a premium experience into a parity product, thereby rendering the higher price unjustifiable in the guest's perception. The quality of service and atmosphere must visually and experientially validate the final check total. Employ variable value. Utilize data for targeted rewards. The current economic climate necessitates precision in the delivery of value. Leveraging advanced guest data analytics is essential for the implementation of variable value, a strategic methodology that effectively circumvents the brand-diluting effects of broad-based discounts and indiscriminate mass promotions. Blanket discounts diminish brand equity, condition guests to await sales, and frequently reward customers who would have patronized the establishment regardless. Variable value employs predictive modeling to ascertain guests' price elasticity and lifetime value. This capability allows for the precise delivery of targeted loyalty rewards, personalized offers, e.g., a complimentary dessert for an anniversary, or exclusive access to new menu introductions. This precision ensures that promotional expenditure is directed toward either incentivizing an incremental visit from a lapsed customer or rewarding the most valuable, loyal patrons, thereby optimizing the return on investment while simultaneously preserving the integrity of the base menu price. Apply the 80/20 rule to margin strategy. A robust margin strategy mandates a rigorous application of the Pareto principle, or the 80/20 rule. Executive attention must be centered on securing healthy margins by prioritizing the financial performance of the top 20% of high-volume items. These items, which account for the majority of sales, should be continuously optimized through strategic sourcing initiatives and kitchen efficiency enhancements. While protecting the margins on best-selling items, the complementary action involves strategically enhancing the perceived value of all other menu selections. This enhancement is not achieved through price reductions, but through the integration of non-costly, high-impact features, unique preparation methods, premium garnishes, compelling narrative about ingredient provenance, or a slightly increased portion size for an introductory course. The objective is to ensure that even mid-volume items contribute significantly to the guest's perception of receiving excellent value for their money, thus validating the overall price structure. Thank you for your engagement with this critical installment of From Kitchen to C-Suite. We believe this discussion provides foundational insight for industry leaders striving to adapt and achieve enduring success. If the strategic insights presented herein are deemed valuable to your operations or professional trajectory, we strongly encourage you to subscribe and submit a detailed review on platforms such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your support is instrumental in amplifying this essential dialogue, enabling us to reach and empower other executive decision-makers across the culinary and hospitality sectors. I am your host, Don, and my concluding reminder for every leader in this dynamic industry is a maxim that guides our work. In this industry, you're either at the table or you're on the menu. Proactive strategy and innovation are not merely options. They represent the cost of entry. We look forward to your presence next week as we continue to investigate the challenging yet rewarding path to success. This podcast and the actionable insights we disseminate are made possible by the unwavering dedication of our esteemed sponsors. We extend a special recognition to HRB Universal. Their comprehensive suite of resources, advanced training curricula, and commitment to regulatory excellence are vital in empowering culinary, hospitality, and food and beverage professionals to attain the highest standards of operation and leadership. We also acknowledge the pivotal work of the Plate and Pour Collective Equity Partner Program. This initiative exemplifies a genuine, forward-thinking commitment to fostering equitable growth, shared financial success, and a more inclusive future for emerging leaders within the food and beverage sector. The trajectory to the C-suite is not merely a professional journey. It is an intellectual and networking challenge fueled by innovation, relentless dedication, and the partnership of the right strategic allies. We strongly recommend that you connect with the robust resources and networks provided by our sponsors. For detailed information on HRB Universal and the Plate and Pour Collective Equity Partner Program, please visit hrbuni.com or conduct an online search for HRB Universal. We anticipate your participation in our next episode of From Kitchen to C-Suite as we persist in exploring topics designed to elevate your career and entrepreneurial drive. Subscribe and tune in now wherever you access your podcasts. Headphone TV Big News. We're leveling up. From Kitchen to C-Suite is coming soon to your TV on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Stay tuned for the visual deep dives into the business of food. Until then, maintain your focus on success and innovation.